You're ready. I'm not ready. Okay. Welcome to this March 12th, 2026 regular session of the Ashland School Board. So we will start with our call to order and roll check. Let the record show that all 5 directors are here, as well as our 2 student representatives. And I will ask for someone to volunteer to read the land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the sacred land that we live and learn on today belongs to the Takelma, Shasta, Modoc, Klamath, and Umpqua peoples. We honor and acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we now call the United States. We recognize that Native Americans peoples' continuing connection to land, place, waters, and community. We pay our respects to their cultures, country, and elders, past, present, and emerging.
Thank you, Milo. Okay, and with that, we will move on to the adoption of the agenda. So we have all reviewed the agenda. I know there were a couple of last-minute changes, so if I will take a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'd like to move to add the AEA MOA to the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you, Russell. Okay. Any other changes? No? All right. In that case, I will take a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Okay, and next we move on to the consent agenda, which is, again, quite lengthy, but we have reviewed it. There's a lot of policy updates and several MOUs. So unless anybody has anything they would like to specifically pull, I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
All in favor? Okay, that takes care of a lot right there. All right, so then next up we have our school presentation. Today we have Walker with Principal Jamie Strobridge. Welcome.
Hi, nice to see y'all. Okay, I'm gonna work with some tech for a second. I did. Holly. Doesn't do it. Let's click on it. There we go. Thank you, Holly. Holly to the rescue. All right. Hi, my name is Jamie Sturbridge. I'm the proud principal of Walker Elementary.
And I'm Brooke Tygeson, the school counselor. Oop, there we go. Brooke Tygeson, the school counselor at Walker.
Walker Elementary, our mission statement. The Walker community values diversity, empathy, and perseverance. We honor the entire learning process from mistakes to academic mastery. We teach our students to advocate for themselves and others. We nurture kindness, creativity, and wonder. All right, so Walker currently has 219 students, and we are blended across 3 grade level bands. So we have 3 kinder, first grade classes, 3 second, third grade classes, and then 3 classes of 4, 5 as well, so that teachers could also intermix kids and create different planning periods for the kids. We also have a partnership with YMCA Preschool, which has been really lovely this year to have them in the building, and they're integrating into our assemblies and part of our daily operations. They see everybody in the cafeteria. It's been really, really lovely to have that partnership. Language arts. So I'm going to give you kind of an overview because it's it's a lot of data. Okay, so last year in the 24-25 language arts state testing, we actually had 79% of students ranking at proficient or above, which is amazing. And then this year we are looking at our fall IXL data, which was new for our whole school this year, and our winter data to see the growth. Currently we have 44% in the fall. In the fall we had 44% of students who were proficient, and we have already moved in January. So at the end of January we had 55% of kids who were proficient or above. I'm very excited to see what we have toward the spring. We tend to have a pretty large jump historically toward the end of the year after testing. It's been wonderful. So we've had an 11% increase already. In math, for state testing, we had 50% of students proficient or above. For IXL in the fall, we had 42% kids proficient or above. And then in winter, we had a 12% increase of 54% proficient or above. It's kind of hard to, that's a lot of, so anything that's above or on would be considered proficient and above. So you add those scores together. Attendance, this was one of our goals, which I'll talk about here in a second. Last year, we had 79% of students who were able to be at school 90% of the time or more. So if they hit 90% attendance, they were counted within this. We are currently at 76%, but we are working really hard to get that back. We had about 2 weeks of flu-pocalypse, I guess is what we would call it this time. It was intense, and so we're working to get all of those kids back in the building. Here we go. Youth Truth data. This was a really interesting, we just received our Youth Truth data back today, and that was we had some major growth, and I was like, oh, I already turned everything in. We had growth in almost every single field, and I was super proud, but this was what I had already turned in. So our highest rated core theme by students was engagement and culture. Our lowest were academic challenge and relationships. Our highest rated were for families was relationships and culture. Our lowest rated were resources, communication, and feedback. It always says communication and feedback, but it's kind of both. Staff surveyed, the highest rated was engagement and relationships, and lowest was professional development and support. What I did note when I looked through today's data that came in at 10:15 today, was that each one of these categories all jumped that were there. So I was really surprised and very elated to see all of that. Even our low ones were jumping up. We jumped probably nothing lower than a +4 or 5%, which was amazing. All right, so our goals. We have 2 strategic goals that were aligned to the district goals. The second one is quite large, and it's a 2-part piece. Language arts. By June 2026, Walker Elementary will increase 3rd grade reading proficiency from 60% to 63% based on the state assessment results, with continued focus on improving outcomes for focal student groups. We chose 63% because as the district had their goal for overarching, we tiered it out to make sure that we could make adequate growth throughout the 3 years. For our environment goal, we call it our environment goal. It ties to district goal 4. By June 2026, Walker Elementary will increase the percent of students attending regularly, so 90% or more, from 79% to 82%, and improve the percentage of students reporting a sense of belonging at school from 29% to 50%, and this is all measured by state attendance records and the district student climate survey, so Youth Truth. I will say right now we are currently working on the attendance piece. We have some really fun things we're going to show you. And then the Youth Truth, we are at 42%, and I want to dive a little bit deeper to figure out what we can do because one of the categories flipped, so I'm very curious on how that looked. All right. So ways that we're going to make it all work. We're going to implement EL for our EL learning curriculum in grades K through 5. Implement 95% core curriculum, which is our phonics curriculum. Use IXL as a tool for regular practice of skills. Engage in monthly PLC work focused on literacy, instruction, and student growth, which has been a really big shift for all of the teachers to work together within their own grade level bands district-wide. It's been a really big opening moment for people to be able to reach across different schools to see how they are making things grow. For math, we're going to be implementing all teachers continuing to use math studio strategies and integrate math habits of mind and math practices across the grades. Refine implementation of illustrative math curriculum K-5. Use IXL as a tool for regular practice for skills. Daily differentiation time to practice skills at individual needs levels. So each day in our current schedule, every grade level has about an hour of differentiation time. So they get what they need during that time, whatever level, whatever subject that they are needing at that time is where we're going to build and grow. Social emotional.
Okay. So along with reading and math, social emotional, I think it's obviously very important. We have our teachers that do our tier 1 using Wayfinder, and then we do supplement with other curriculums like Mind Up and Sources of Strength. We recently got Ripple Effects, which other parts of the district have used, and so we're going to use that more for our tier 3 students. For myself, I do a lot of small group work, and I do that both in like lunch groups and also just kind of targeted groups that may need specific skills. And so I kind of use a variety of curriculum with that. And then our child support team is like SST, and we call it CST. Is a team, obviously I'm on, Jamie's on, and in that group, we also kind of figure out what the family, what the student needs, and a lot of times we do use like options, and our care coordinator, Janice, helps us a lot to like get what the family needs depending on, all sorts of things. And then last thing, we're really happy to have Hope Beecher, I think I'm saying that right. And she's our art therapy intern, so that's really wonderful to have. And she meets with students individually and in small groups, and we're hoping to have her do kind of like an art club, things like that for like our whole student body as well.
Some ways that we're building belonging with our school, which is our absolute favorite part. We've taken our B team, our kind of behavior team, and we've kind of flipped the model. We're not really necessarily looking at where things are going wrong. We're looking at where things are going right. And so we've shifted how we've modeled everything. So one of our biggest things that we shifted this last year. We did it on a whim, and now it just stuck. We have carpet parties. Have y'all heard anything about our carpet parties? We have for real carpet parties. They're really fun. Like we line the hallways with paper. Yes. Each carpet party is a different color. So we just had one recently, and it was our Walker's Wonderful Winter White Carpet Party. That's a whole lot of words. The kids collectively as a whole school had to create 3,000 tickets, and it took us a lot longer. And so they were really pushing. And so we upped the ante a little bit, and the goal was to get a surprise. They didn't know what it was. They had no idea what we were planning. And so once they got the 3,000 tickets, and they were getting them by being safe, respectful, responsible, they had to choose whether they were going to get an individual reward or if they were going to put it toward this big pocket of stuff. When they received it, we decorated the entire hallways, as you can see in some of these pictures. There were trees along the hallway. We had the lights off. We had Winter Wonderland music going. We had Wolfie out participating and welcoming kids, and everybody wore white. We went to an SOU basketball game. They came back. They got popcorn, juice boxes, snacks, and then they had time to do an art project or a video project in their classrooms. And it was a whole school day devoted completely to a collective reward. And those days are one of our highest rated days, and kids are there. They show up. They always show up for those days. They're like, I've been sick, but I'm gonna be here. I'm like, yes, I know, honey, you're gonna be here. And so we actually have another one coming up, but the kids don't know about it yet until next week that they're gonna start earning for. Hint, hint. And so these are our carpet parties. We've had a few of them. They are legendary. Another way that we are building community in our school is we have a lot of student affinity groups, and they actually met today. We have a Black Student Union, an Asian Pacific Islander Student Union, Latino Student Union, and Native American Student Union. They meet monthly. We have a coordinator for those, and then we also have people to run each one. Each one of these also has a school assembly, so we take a portion of our school assembly each time for education pieces and for them to show off their culture. And we want everyone to feel included in that. Another way is that we are also building community through our students of the month. So teachers get to nominate 2 students from every single class to be that have been safe, respectful, responsible, and have been model students. And they get to jump this is the best part, they get to jump to the front of the line at lunch, so they don't have to wait in the line, which is a really big deal. And then they also get to go to recess first. And they also get a pizza party, an ice cream party, and then they get announced at one of our assemblies, and they get an award. It's a very, very big deal. So they get to hold it all month long. It's very fun. And another great way that we are celebrating our students at school is that we celebrate their achievements. And right behind me, we have 3 of our members of our winning OBOB team this year, and who will get to compete this weekend. And I'd love for them to come up and introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Torin. I'm in grade 5, and one of my favorite things about OBOB is probably reading the books and the glory. Hello everyone, my name is Maddie French. I am in the 5th grade, and my favorite thing about OBOB is probably the thrill of everything.
Hi, my name is Opal. I'm in grade 5, and my favorite thing about OBOB was probably getting to hang out with my teammates because they're just awesome.
We also have 2 other members that could be here because they're sick. Sebastian Culver and then Josephine Sickman. And some other ways that we are also building community, you can come out and see us tomorrow night, is our talent show. And we have a teacher talent. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be really exciting. So we have talent show tomorrow. We have Da Vinci night in April, spring sing in May, and then we have fun day, which we would love for everybody to come out and see us then. Yeah, thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I would love some questions just for our students about how are you guys liking the new building, the new playground? How do you guys like the school?
It's a really good school. I like it, and the playground's really fun.
I love it.
For the school, it's really cool. I like the curriculum. I like that there's 2 grades in one class. Yeah, it's really cool altogether. The playground's pretty cool too. I have not seen some of the stuff in there before.
You want to talk about it?
Sure.
I really like the playground because last time, before we got a new remodel, it was fun, but there wasn't that much to do on it. And it wasn't the best, but now that we got a remodel, I think it's way better, and a lot of kids enjoy it.
Great. Perfect. And then, Jamie, I just have a question for you around how has having childcare on campus, do you think, changed atmosphere, culture, impacts? Would love some thoughts.
Well, I am a person who is actually utilizing that. And so my little one is here. And so that actually helps me in my community because I get to be able to be more at my school, more present. So I'm not having to leave and go get my kiddo to come back to school. I literally walk down the hallway. I get to see him. It gives me a lot more job satisfaction, first off. And then also with him in the community, we get to talk daily. I see, because I do go in there all the time. I check in on every teacher every single day, and that includes the YMCA. We talk about kids that are going to be zoned for Walker. How do we get them connected? What can we get them tours? Can we have them go step in and go meet another teacher? Can we get them into the library? I think it has built that community for us. I think that I would love to expand a program of a preschool. I think that in the Valley, we are definitely in need of preschool, and we have some space to do that, and I would love to take on that challenge.
All right, I would really, really like to congratulate the OBOB team. I got to moderate the final battle, and you guys were amazing. You were amazing. So I want to wish you the best of luck this Saturday at regionals. Yay! So good times. I had just one little question about the. It was the art therapy. I'm just curious about how that works. Do just certain students qualify for that, or can students opt into it?
So all of the schools have an intern, and Britt Humphrey kind of oversees that, and so I'm her site supervisor. So we just lucked out this year that she's an art therapist, or she's going to school to be an art therapist. So, and they would qualify based on a team. We work together.
We work through our CST team to discuss who may need it, who does not have outside supports. For kids, that's why we decided to do something during the day. We are also very fortunate that Hope will be with us every single day soon versus just a couple days a week. And so we looked at having a way for her to interact with more kids, be able to reach them through her art, and that gives them an outlet and another person that they trust in the building. And I think it's a really cool, great thing. And they're going to be doing that during their lunch recess time. Since we have our art room completely dedicated to that, it'll be part of one of their options.
Great, thank you. All right. Anybody else? I'm just putting down some notes. I have some questions about the IXL, but probably not for right now. Maybe we can circle back to that at some point. So that's fine. I just want to not lose it from my head.
I get that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Okay, so next up we have a presentation on our Science and Health Curriculum Committee update. That is led by Rebecca Garmani.
Forgetting. I will not forget the Spindrift by the end of the school year. Bring you a can. Very popular with the Classified Staff Appreciation Month last month. Very popular. Anyway, I'm here to talk about the science curriculum adoption like I was here a couple months. Both Hillary's going to talk about health. So our K-8 is really leaning towards Amplify, continuing with Amplify. We found out from them that they, in 2 years, are unveiling a Amplify 2E, which is going to be a brand new, shiny edition. We Zoomed with them and had an hour-long Zoom with them, hearing about all the new bells and whistles. The committee was able to ask clarifying questions. So that was really helpful because the committee was really struggling with, do we take on something brand new, or do we take on a curriculum that we're kind of feeling iffy about, and having definitely struggling with the things that were challenging with Amplify. So talking with them and hearing all about 2E really re-energized the committee. So we're looking at continuing with Amplify for 2 years with possibly spending money on refilling the kits, the hands-on part of the curriculum, and then seeing what the price point would be to upgrade to the 2E in 2028. So that's what we're looking at K8. As you can see there in your packet, so some of the things that excited them about the 2E edition was they already have condensed the scope and sequence a little bit, hearing that teacher feedback, which units were too long, which units were just too unwieldy. So they really condensed some of the units, took out kind of the more cumbersome ones or the ones that weren't popular with teachers and students, and have revised them. But they, on top of that, they are offering this like fast track version of like, I got 25 minutes in my kinder class. What could I do in my 25 minutes? Because we know, especially K-5, you're cramming everything into the school day. It's not subject specific like the middle school is. So that was something they were excited. They still have their hard copies for K-5. It's super important to the committee that there's actual hard copies of books in the hands of kids. And my middle school teachers, and I did as well, were like, any chance of getting hard copies for middle school with the 2E edition? He was happy to hear the feedback of how passionate we are about textbooks in kids' hands. He was saying, no, there wasn't plans for that. And he said it boiled down to expense, that it is so expensive to make those readers. And at the middle school level, it's even more texts. It's even, heftier. So that was a disappointment for my middle school folks, including myself, but exciting for K-5. I already talked about the scope and sequence being more condensed. It's still aligned, of course. We're going to pick we want to recommend a curriculum that's aligned to NGSS, and it's still that phenomenon-based, way to center and introduce the units to students, and the units are updated. So those were some of the things. If Caitlin Olson was here, she probably latched on to some other things that were really important as well to the committee. In 912, again, they're looking at renewing our 8P textbooks. I'm ordering a copy of each one, a hard copy for preview down in the district office. I believe we're opening up that preview over spring break and into that first week of April, that all of you can stop by the district office and look at some hands-on materials, and some links will be posted on a website, kind of that people can, a lot of the Amplify stuff you're going to be able to look at via the, just looking online, but I will make sure we get some actual hard copies down there as well. And that's the update.
All right, I'm going to talk about the health committee and the curriculum adoption there. So I believe we shared last time we were here, Becca and I, that there were relatively few choices offered by Oregon, but I feel like our committee has met and done the work and are making the best choice out of very few choices. So for K-8, they are recommending that we go with the Great Body Shop, which is got an interesting sort of format. It's a newsletter style format, and there's a lot of take-home capability here, so really keeping families involved. Teachers thought that it was cross-curricular. There's a lot of opportunity for integration, and at the primary grades, that's going to be really important because there's not a lot of time to carve out for health-specific instruction. It's super flexible. It's available in French and Spanish. There's lots of family communication. Like I said before, there's a ton of newsletters and lots of take-home opportunity in there. It's strength-based. It's got lots of great, medically accurate information in there for kids, and full of really comprehensive teacher guides. So it felt the most supportive to them, and they're hoping to adopt that K-8. And then at the high school level, we looked at Live Well Health. So this is more of a traditional curriculum with a textbook. It does meet all the Oregon standards and the additional standards. Some of the stuff isn't in here in the textbook proper, but it is online and available to teachers online. So they have special lessons that are specific to Oregon content available to them. And this one felt like just like a really good resource for our teachers. It's accessible outside the classroom, so there is a student online portal, which is really important for high school age kids. It's aligned to the ODE standards. It's got a real big focus on health literacy and skill-based instruction. There's a lot of case studies in here, and they use a lot of stories as an entryway into health content and topics. Yeah. So these two things, again, as Rebecca shared, that we will have them on display down at the district office very soon, and links as well to the online content. Yeah. Right. Yeah. A little homework.
Now, I'm assuming if we Amplify is what we're using now, correct? There wouldn't have to be as high of a level of,
Onboarding
onto a new curriculum.
Correct. Yeah.
That was another,
Yeah, it'd be great to keep some of those stressors off.
Yeah,
where we
so
can.
our K-5 committee representatives were definitely like, that was in their minds for sure. Yep. There's definitely like curriculum fatigue is real. Yep.
Indeed.
How do you let the community members know about the opportunity to preview the curriculum, and how many people actually take you up on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't, I think math and language arts, there's much more interest. Hillary, did you lead math and language arts?
The math was pretty popular for parents and community members to come in and view the materials. We held that at the Ashland Middle School, and that was a bigger event, but I've been at some for science when we first adopted Amplify, where there were a couple of folks that came in. We will let the community know that that is available. I think Michelle has that going out in a newsletter to the community.
Yeah. I don't expect like a huge heap of interest like we would with math and language arts. But, I remembered Hillary and I did science together about 7 or 8 years ago. And there was a trickle of people that came through.
Anything else? All right.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is our finance report. Is Sherry here with us tonight? Or online? Okay.
Hello there. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Okay. I'm going to jump right in then. Not a ton of changes, but I did want to let you know on the revenue side, we did see a decrease in our state school fund of about 250,000 in the last update that we got. And that's partially due to the January to June ADMW trend down, which ODE does that every year. And it's based on our ADM that we have submitted through the end of December. And so that's something that ODE implemented quite a few years ago, just to try to put some consistency in the funding as the school year goes on. And then the other issue that impacted that was there were apparently some errors in data that other districts had reported regarding their property taxes and their transportation expenses. So when ODE did their reconciliation in February based on changes that had been submitted by school districts, they had to make the adjustments in the state school fund. So all of those things combined resulted in a $250K reduction in our state school fund. And based on some of the information we're getting from COSA, it doesn't look like there are going to be any reductions to our funding for 25-26 from any of the federal issues that are going on or in 26-27. And I did note, though, that one disappointing communication that we had was that due to a recalculation in the poverty rates, which the federal government does every year, we'll be seeing an 8% reduction in our Title I funding for 26-27. And so that's about a $54K loss in funding for Title I. And that is due to when the feds did the recalculation of the poverty rates for our region, it looked like Ashland's poverty was not as significant as it was the prior year. And so there are several other things that factor into that, and I don't have access to the actual calculation that they do at the federal level. We just get the result of that based on information from ODE. And so that's on the revenue side. And also I did want to mention, I was at a business officials meeting today, and we had an update actually from Washington, D.C. They zoomed into our meeting and were giving us some information on how the big, beautiful bill is impacting funding for school districts. And there are a lot of changes that are happening, as I'm sure you guys are all aware. And so they were just cautioning us to be very conservative in our estimates going forward and just, you know, to keep abreast of what's going on at the federal level. And so we are doing that. And our business officials network is really tuned into what's going on at the federal level. So we're able to keep abreast of what's happening at the federal level. So as I learn more, I will definitely share that with you. Any questions on the revenue side? If not, I'm going to keep going.
Sure, I have a really quick question. Off the top of your head, do you know what our ADMW trend down was?
I do not know that.
Okay.
I did not look at that. I did do a reconciliation of the state school fund from the last estimate that we got, but I don't remember what the percentage trend down was. So I can look that up and let you know.
Yeah, don't worry. I will get to that in budget season, I'm sure, too. So no need to add it to your plate.
And why is the rest of, can you guys see my report? Because I can't see it.
No, it's blank.
Yeah, it's blank on my end too. Well, that's just not fun.
we can have Holly drive it from here if you want, Sherry.
That might be better to do that. Do I need to stop sharing, Holly, to do that?
No, because I'm going to pull it up on the presenter's laptop, and I will put it to the expenses section for you, and then you can just start talking.
So if you just keep talking about the report, Holly's going to follow along. We're looking at it now.
Okay, so I am on the, well, this is really weird, because even when I stop sharing, I can't see it. So I'm going to do it from memory. So on the expenditure side, I wasn't noticing any major variations in what we had been projecting from the last meeting. So on the expenditure side, we're looking pretty good. We're still looking like our ending fund balance is going to come in over 3 million. And I am relatively confident in that just based on the encumbrances that I'm seeing. So I think we're good there. And then the next report that we have after that, Holly, if you want to go down to the appropriation compliance report. And that's just so that the board can see that we're looking good on the appropriation compliance front. We don't have any issues that we need to address on that front. And then after that one, we have the special revenue funds. And again, very similar to what we were seeing last month. I'm still watching the IDEA overage that we're seeing in that fund. It is down from what we were projecting in February. So I think we're going to be okay. We might have to do a little bit more of moving some of that expense to the general fund, but I'll just monitor that as we go through the year and keep you informed of that. And then the last page is the, if you can get there, Holly. Yeah, that's the cash flow report. So this is a new one for all of you that I just wanted to share with you. So this shows our general fund and then all of our other funds. So special revenue, our student body funds, so the 105, the 110, our debt service, capital projects, internal service funds, which includes our health fund, and then the trust and agency fund. And so it just, the top portion gives you a picture of the revenue from where we're actuals through February and then what we're still projecting through March. And then on the expense side, same thing, expenditures through February, projections through the end of the year. And then down at the bottom is these are our bank accounts. And I listed the bank accounts, but I didn't put the account code information from the bank. I just put our GL codes on there. So I just wanted you to see that from a cash flow perspective, we are still doing just fine. And I have projected out through October, not on this report, but just for my own benefit. I've projected out through October and it looks like we're going to be fine even through October. And then in November is when we get our next big collection of property taxes. So far, looking good. So I'll just keep you updated as we move through the year. And I can continue month if this is helpful for you guys to see that also.
Yes, definitely for me. Sorry, go ahead.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'm just trying to put it all together. So to go back to the $250,000 reduction in the state school fund, and that's yes. A projection, right? That's not an actual number yet. That's just.
No, that was an actual reduction that we're going to see in our funding for this current school year. Yes.
Okay. So that's something.
That's figured into the projections.
Okay. So where is that actually, do I see that in these charts as like a?
So if you go back up to the revenue, Holly, the very first one.
I do have it on my computer here now, so I can follow it that way too.
So if you look at state sources, that's where that's reflected. But when you're comparing the state school funding that we're projecting to receive this year compared to what we budgeted, we're still to the positive about 54,000.
Oh,
And
okay.
so if you look back at the prior month, you'll see that that amount that we were going to be positive was higher than that. And so that's where you'll see that reduction reflected is in that.
Okay.
So even taking into consideration that reduction, we're still doing okay.
Okay, good. So that is not affecting our ending fund balance. And, okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a quick one. First off, Sherry, thank you so much for adding the cash flow. That is something that's
Yes.
just so good for transparency and for us as a board to make sure that we're doing our due diligence too. So, hell yeah, thank you so much for that. My quick question was on the Title I reduction in funding. And I apologize, I'm working off the screen. Holly, if you can
Yeah.
scroll down to the special revenue funds. Am I reading this right? And granted, it's very small. That Title I, we typically get about what's the total amount that we get in Title I every year, more or less?
The amount that we're getting in Title I is just under 700,000.
Okay, so we're losing a little less than 10%. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Sherry, so I'm going to double down on thank you for the cash flow statement. Very nice. Glad to have it. So just a question, what are trust and agency funds? I don't know what that is.
So those are funds that have been donated to the school district and they're for a very specific purpose. The majority of that money goes to scholarships.
Thank you. I remember us talking about that now. Good. Now I know what it is.
Yeah, and it isn't a ton of money. I think it's around 150-ish thousand. So, but it's called trust and agency because the money has been given to the school district, has been donated, but for a very specific purpose.
Sherry, I want to thank you also as the third person or fourth person for the cash flow report. That's great. The upshot to us getting fewer Title I funds is that Ashland has a lower poverty rate. Isn't that correct? Yeah.
Well, is that real or did they just change the bar?
That's a good question. Sherry, do you know?
I don't know that. They sent an email when we got that information, and I can forward that to you. There's a lot that goes into that, and I don't understand completely everything that they've done, mainly because they don't show us the numbers that they're working with. They're just giving us kind of a narrative about it. And so without actually seeing what they're working with, it's hard to interpret whether it really is a reflection of Ashland's poverty rate going down or if it's a reflection of what's happening nationwide and the effect to us because of that, kind of like how we get affected on the state school fund side when there are changes in other districts around the state and we all or not a benefit because of that. But I can forward you guys the email and I can try to get some more clarification on the actual calculation that they're using to arrive at that.
I also have my state superintendent meeting tomorrow that I can inquire about that as well. Mhm.
All right. Any other questions? We good? All right. Thank you as always, Sherry.
Yep. Thank you guys too. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you letting me zoom in today.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so now we are moving on to our recurring reports, and we will start with our OSCA report. Stephen, that's you.
Howdy. Hello, board and Ashland school community. Last week was Classified Appreciation Week. It's always one of the best weeks for us as we are so thankful for the love and outpouring of appreciation from our colleagues, the district, the community. and everybody involved. The potluck snacks and the meals shared with classified staff during this week are always so incredible and cherished. We always look forward to it. There's so many of us who are like, potato bar, potato bar. And I just want to thank all of our colleagues in the community that shared their time and love with our teams across the district. And next week, I'll be working with HR Director Michelle Cutterback to organize some site visits across the district to provide more opportunities to build up stronger collaboration in our union and meet with staff, especially as we move towards the end of the year and host our annual union elections. And we are going to be going into our bargaining negotiations. I'm thankful for these opportunities to work alongside the district and look forward. They're always so respectful and collaborative in these programming. And this kind of work is definitely for the betterment of our community as a whole when all of our colleagues across all the sites can work together and share in our union. So this Tuesday, we met with district leadership to discuss our demand of bargaining. We're just doing our limited bargaining session around compensation. So those meetings will be held in May. And we'll be posting those updates and everything on the website, just like the AEA bargaining that they do. And then in kind of a shift, I just want to recognize that the cost of living continues to be more and more expensive as utility, housing, and medical costs are trending upwards. And with the current affairs of our nation's government and the violence it's bringing abroad, we would be naive to not expect those costs to continue to escalate. When our government wages war, those costs will affect domestic workers and students here in the U.S. But importantly and more urgently, it is already directly affecting our educator communities in West Asia. Last week, I've struggled to sleep thinking of the around 175 students and educators killed immediately by U.S. strikes on a school in Iran. That was the night of our candlelight vigil. Most of us went home from that and then woke up the next morning. We have peers at Ashland High School who lived in the region and they have friends and family in there. So media footage of the oil fires and the black smoke rolling through the cities where millions live, it's reminiscent of our own Alameda fire. And I think of all the students unable to go to school as energy reserves are depleted in the region and they're unable to go to their school buildings. They don't have gas to run the power. And I struggle to continue and function thinking of those nightmares. But what I can do is urge our community to contact your representatives and call for an end to the violence and hold solidarity for those students, educators, the workers, and the communities that are living there and struggling and fighting there to just survive. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, next up we have AEA report. Alan Porowski.
Hello. After a vigorous debate about what our reports are for, we got it down to a paragraph. So you'll like this one. This is the condensed version of what everyone sent in. Across the district, our schools continue to offer rich learning experiences and strong community connections. At Ashland Middle School, Trails, and Willow Wind, 8th graders began their transition to high school with their first campus visit. 6 wrestlers qualified for regionals, and site-based classrooms launched a long-term greenhouse project supported by the Ashland Schools Foundation. Ashland Connect continues to welcome new students, and our alternative education families are excited to engage in upcoming conversations about building a more innovative and creative alternative education pathway in Ashland, Bellevue, Hellman, Walker, Willow Wind, and Trails. Each celebrated Classified Appreciation Week in meaningful and unique ways, ranging from themed world travel celebrations to student-created appreciation baskets, reflecting how deeply our classified staff contribute to the success of each school. Trail students also completed an overnight winter skills backpacking experience, applying real-world science learning and peer leadership. Together, these updates highlight the dedication, creativity, and community-focused spirit of our staff and students. Whether through hands-on learning, family engagement, growing alternative education options, or celebrating the essential contributions of our classified team, each school is working hard to support student growth and strengthen our district's collective mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, and next we have our student board representatives.
Good evening, everybody. Obviously, AHS has had a very challenging last few weeks, which has definitely made this month feel different compared to others, but we've also seen our community come together and lean on each other in ways that I think we haven't seen before. And although our school has felt super different, we still try to carry on with events that usually happen as it starts to feel like spring out. For example, National Honor Society is hosting their annual Spring Formal this Saturday, and it's also a scholarship fundraiser. Spring sports have begun, like softball, baseball, track and field, and tennis. And softball in particular, it has been very different because we have joined with Phoenix and we've now practiced at their field due to lack of athletes from both teams. Math team won one of the local competitions at SOU this week, and DECA went to state recently, and we had 6 qualify for international competition in Atlanta, Georgia.
Just so you all know, she's one of them.
He won on the
And last week was, as we've heard, our Classified Staff Appreciation Week. And on behalf of the students, I'd like to give a special thank you to everyone who is a member of our classified staff and recognize that our school district would not be the same without them. In other news, Asian Student Union is hosting a middle school dance the night before the high school dance, so tomorrow night. Our Ashland High School Theater is showing A Midsummer Night's Dream, and they have been for the last week. And there are 2 more performances, which are tomorrow night and Saturday night. So a lot going on. And then Ashland High is putting together a spring sports rally for softball, baseball, tennis, and track and field. And a 2nd annual March Madness tournament, which is students versus staff in a best-of-3 tournament style format. Speech and Debate had their state and nationals qualifiers this month. They're also hosting a bingo night, which is finishing up right about now. And everyone is looking forward to spring break. And Brain Bowl JV team went 7-0. The final TV showdown is April 26th.
Oh, that's always really fun. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to board reports. Whoever wants to kick off.
So I just wanted to close the loop on the legislative session, which ended a few days ago. The biggest thing in our region was a higher ed restructuring and funding study passed, and SOU got their $15 million. So that's really great for us as a feeder into SOU and as a partner with them. Beyond higher education, the session advanced some bills I'll get into. The biggest thing for K-12 was unresolved, and that was our funding debate. Did not actually make it to the floor. And so we'll see. I expect that to be bitten off next session. We did, though, lawmakers did back Senate Bill 1507, which disconnected parts of the Oregon tax policy from the federal tax code. And that meant that we could preserve funding for schools at a consistent level, which is still a cut because costs go up. But that was good news. Some stuff did not pass there, or some stuff that did pass that's interesting. Senate Bill 1538 bars discrimination in education based on immigration or citizenship status, guarantees access to school instructional programs, and requires school districts to distribute model immigration enforcement policies to employees. That starts July 1st of 2026. House Bill 4149 just incorporated into state law federal protections for homeless students under the McKinney-Vento Act, which is great so that we don't have to worry about any changes at the federal level. And House Bill 4154 expands public reporting on student attendance. I'm very curious about this one. So starting next school year, ODE will be using district attendance data to calculate and publicly report regular attendance and chronic absence metrics. With quarterly reporting, the purpose is to give schools and communities a clearer picture of attendance trends. Something that is not directly related to us, but Senate Bill 1546 was the AI chatbot bill. It came up because in Bend Lapine School District, parents were pushing back on the use of chatbots in the classroom for student behavioral health. So this established some consumer protections by requiring AI chatbot platforms to implement safety protocols when users express thoughts of self-harm. Some stuff that did not pass was that the overhaul of K-12 funding. Another thing that did not pass was SB 1581. That was Oregon's School Meals for All. That would have required all districts to do what we do. And since we are a USDA, a community eligible provision site, it doesn't change what we do. We still offer meals to all students regardless. But that would have been cool to have that kind of baked in at a state level and not have to worry about federal changes. I think we all went to the Candlelight Vigil. Most or all of us went to the fundraiser this past weekend for the high school. And we had a special session this week, work session a couple weeks ago. And since it was my birthday, Deltra went to the Schools Foundation, so she can talk about that.
Maybe you were sick, though. That was, I know. Okay, so I met with Jessica Thorkelson at the Ashland Community Land Trust to learn more about how land trusts work. I did go to the Schools Foundation meeting, filling in for Dan, and I just wanted, the one thing I do want to say about that is I think it's a wonderful group of people and a really great volunteer opportunity for anybody in our community who wants to get involved and support the schools. And that's primarily that. I got to attend OBOB at Hellman to see how it works, and that was great fun. I enjoyed that a lot. I will come back for more OBOB, definitely. And I attended an Oregon School Board Association webinar on school finances. Very exciting. And and of course, I was there at the vigil too, which, by the way, was clearly the work of so many hands and so many loving hearts. And I just really feel that some healing got to happen, and I'm appreciating that. So I also went to a Southern Oregon Queer Educator Social at Pascal. That was fun. And I've had a few meetings with fellow board members. I know that I just want to make sure everybody knows that Pi Day is on its way. See, this is why I'm wearing this particular sweatshirt. And I'm sorry that Principal Resleff's not here so that I can quiz him about the the number that comes after 3.14. Does anybody know? 1415.
926,535.
Okay.
That's the math guy over there. I love it.
Well, okay, so what that means, Milo, is that you can have some pie. So go to ScienceWorks. Go to ScienceWorks. I understand they're going to be serving pizza pies on, I think it's Saturday, and that seems wonderful to me. I hope I got the day right. Yes. Double check that one. Okay, good. I also want to wish everybody happy Women's History Month. Yeah, that's it.
I'll go ahead. Okay, so gosh, I feel like we just had a meeting, but I guess it's been a month. So a lot of stuff going on. Let's see. I went to the Dolly Parton lunch, Joseph and I. This is like an incredible program that I found out about through a friend of mine who is runs the Jackson County Library Foundation. And this is actually was started by Dolly Parton. It's now a nationwide program, and it's extraordinary. They give millions and millions of free books to kids, and they sign up, I think, at birth, essentially through age 5, and every month they get a free book mailed. So anyway, it was a wonderful experience to hear about how that program works, and very interesting. She's one of my heroes. Yeah, really, an amazing program. Very successful. Let's see. Then, of course, we've all been hearing about OBOB. There's been a ton of that going on. I had the pleasure of moderating at both Hellman and Walker for their tournaments, which was very fun. And then I got to moderate for the middle school regional, which was last weekend. And next weekend I'll be at the high school regional, and the elementary school regional will also be that same day on Saturday. If anybody is interested, they are so fun. And the elementary tournaments really are just like the energy level of those kids. It's just the best to see these kids so excited. They're so into it. It's really amazing. Yes, it's very intense. So Deltra was my timekeeper when I was moderating. And yeah, so she got a taste of what it gets like. I was telling Joseph at the Walker tournament, it was the first time ever I moderated all the way through the final. Not one student cried. So that was a momentous occasion. Yes, they take it very seriously, but it's so sweet. Okay, let's see. And I went to the AHS fundraiser dinner, which was a lot of fun. Some of us were dressed up in disco outfits and having a good time. And what else? Oh, I'm hoping to go to the Midsummer Night's Dream this weekend. That sounds like a really amazing performance. So hopefully I'll get a chance to make that. And then not quite school board related, but it ties into the legislative things. So I did go to sort of an informational session regarding the state Senate District 3 race. So as many of you know, we have Denise Krause locally who is running for the position. And I have also made an appointment to meet with one of the other potential candidates just to sort of keep a feel for what's going on in those races, because they will definitely affect us locally. And that's it.
Beyond some of the events already mentioned, I just want to give a shout out. I hear the play is fabulous. So get your tickets. And then just want a reminder we went this weekend and we hung out on Hellman, and just the number of kids that were hanging out on the playground on the weekend is just an incredible reminder that school extends beyond the school day. And I'm just grateful for it. We took many hours to get her back in the car. So thank you, schools.
The nice thing about going last is you all cover it ahead of time, so I can just be like, yeah, what they said. But truly, 2 things that I want to point out. I attended the vigil, not just as a board member, but as an affected community member. And I want to just give a word of thanks to everybody who put their heart into that. It was a very powerful experience. And I echo that. I hope that was the beginning of some healing for many of us. On a different note, the AHS fundraiser was fantastic, a lot of fun. Though there were some great costumes, I will say, if you have not seen Dan Ruby in his suit, it is spectacular. Make it happen. Find a way to do it. It's worth it. And the crafts were amazing. Like this, they had a silent auction, and there's all kinds of wonderful things that have been donated by the community. It's a great outpouring of support for the high school. But the high point for me was all of the student crafts, these beautiful cutting boards and charcuterie boards and textiles. They were so cool that though I got there early, I started putting in bids on all of them. And then I realized what I'd done to myself, because if I won them all, it would have been a thing. But fortunately, everybody else was also motivated by how beautiful all of the student crafts were. So I did get the cutting board, which is wonderful, but I didn't get all of them, which is also wonderful. So that's what I have to report. Thank you.
I just want to also make sure we say thank you to the high school PTA. I attended one of their meetings where they were putting this together. There's they work really hard, and they made this happen, and kudos.
Yeah, it really is an extraordinary event, and I know it does raise a lot of funds for the high school, so that's great. And I agree, those cutting boards, amazing. So, all right, thank you guys. So next, we are up to Superintendent Report.
All right, good evening. As always, I will begin with my Rotary Student of the Month presentation, which was, excuse me, presented this afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce Ashland High School's Student of the Month, Lily Kramer. Lily is a senior at Ashland High School who joined our community in August of 2019 after moving from Sacramento, California. Since arriving in Ashland, Lily has become an integral part of the Thoreau and Catalyst programs, where she has distinguished herself not only through her academic dedication, but through her deep commitment to community, service, and care for the world around her. One of the things that stands out most about Lily is her passion for environmental stewardship. She volunteers with Earth Teach and Vesper Meadow, organizations dedicated to ecological restoration and environmental education. Through this work, Lily actively contributes to caring for the land while helping others better understand their relationship with the natural world. After graduating from Ashland High School, Lily plans to attend Rogue Valley Community College, where she will pursue her associate's degree before transferring to a four-year university to study environmental science. Her goal is to continue working towards the protection and restoration of our planet. Lily's teachers describe her as compassionate, diligent, attentive, and deeply motivated. One of her teachers, Jen Wapapa, shared a reflection that beautifully captures Lily's character that I'd like to read. There's an indigenous belief that the elders or wise ones are being reborn in our youth, and they are planted here with great purpose and potential to play a vital role in the healing and restoring of balance in the world. Another important indigenous teaching is all my relations, which means we are all related and we are all interconnected, and with that wisdom comes a deep responsibility for all beings. Along with these teachings, Lily also embodies reciprocity, where her true source of power is fed by nurturing those connections through her deeply relational ways and her understanding of being in community. She has a spiritual connection with Mother Earth and sees the sacredness and inherent value in herself and others. She is a true old soul in the way she is able to glean wisdom from every experience and continue to walk with light and love and reflect light and love to the world. Lily carries strong medicine for this world. At Ashland High School, we often say that our students will help shape the future of our community and our planet. Lily Kramer is exactly the kind of young leader who reminds us that the future is in very good hands. Lily, we are incredibly proud of you. It has been an honor for your teachers and our school community to walk alongside you on this journey. We look forward to seeing the many ways you will continue to care for the earth and uplift the world around you. So you reminded me of many events that happened this week or this month. The Dolly Parton Imagination Library, the AHS fundraiser, none of those were on reports, so thank you for reminding me. This past Monday, I sent out an announcement to the Hellman community, officially announcing that Susan Hollinsworth has agreed to remain as Hellman Elementary School's interim principal next year. Huge reason to celebrate, to have stability as we're planning and going through the transformation process. So very exciting to have her stick around next year. Holly's gonna pull something up on the screen. That's her cue. Oh, and I meant to pass it out to the board as well, so stand by. If you mind taking one and passing it down. For my transformation update, it's brief tonight, however, I think there's enough for each of you. As a reminder, we rebranded our consolidation process to focus on great potential around this and now call it the ASD transformation process. This past month's been very busy and the primary focus has been to better define the process for families in our district. Therefore, tomorrow we'll be publishing the transformation timeline that I present to you tonight. So it will be on every school's website on the transformation link, as well as the school district's website. Additionally, our lead team, consisting of all site principals and department directors, have concluded their staffing proposals for next year. We're now reviewing them as we look at budget development and plans for the fall. You can take that down now. Thank you. Per policy, I'm informing the board of a few upcoming out-of-state trips. We have 2 Hellman School field trips, Lake Shasta Caverns in March, and the Lava Beds National Monument in May. AHS baseball team is traveling to Phoenix, Arizona for spring break, and AHS softball playing in Etna, California on April 2nd. Also want to let you know the District Equity Committee continues to meet. Currently, actually, at their meeting this last week, they're going to be really taking a hard look at our district equity lens and applying it to chronic absenteeism. So that's going to be a really cool process that they go through as they really determine the value of the current equity lens, how it's serving our needs, and applying it to chronic absenteeism. So more on that in the future. As you heard earlier, we've initiated collective bargaining with our licensed employee union, and things are going smoothly so far, and we're about to do so with our classified union as well. As you know, the districts will be going out for a replacement levy, and I've received questions about how money is spent. And I was in awe when we did some of the research. So in my position as superintendent, I can't do political advocacy, but it's my responsibility to share facts. So I'm going to share a couple facts that I've recently learned. So did you know, you don't have to answer because I'm not going to pause, but did you know, of the funds the district receives for the YAL, 34.78% goes to athletics and activities, 22% funds fine arts, including band, theater, orchestra, and choir, 19% of the funds covers classroom instruction, and 15% covers world languages, and finally 8% covers counseling and mental health. Now here's what's more interesting. So that is the percentage of the YAL. While those figures are interesting, I then looked at those unique line items. So if you look at those line items and how much the district spends on those line items, I looked at how much, I forget how I wrote it down. It's confusing. I looked at those unique line items to determine how much is spent using YAL funds versus the general fund, and it made me very appreciative of what this community does for our schools. So let me explain this. So athletics and fine arts budgets are paid for using 88% YAL funds. So only 12% is general funds. 75% of our entire world languages budget is paid for by the YAL. 24% of our counseling and mental health is covered with YAL funds. And only 4% of classroom instruction uses the YAL funds. The rest of that comes from general funds. So I think it paints a really interesting picture. And as I continue to just put out information and facts, I'll be sure to really highlight some of those things. So I think it tells a really important story about how that money is funded. I think it's important because the youth activities, the youth, I always get it wrong, activities and academics levy does truly fund our activities and academics that fall outside of core courses. Those are the courses that are really important to Ashlanders, and athletics, which once again made me incredibly proud of our voters, that education is so important. So as I conclude my report, I want to pause for a moment to reflect on the event that impacted our community February 22nd. 2 of our students tragically lost their lives, and 3 others continue to recover. I want to take a moment simply to honor the hurt and grief that has touched our community, our students, and our staff. Please know that the leadership team at Ashland High School will continue to monitor their student needs and provide ongoing mental health supports for as long as they're needed. I want to recognize the high school leadership team who came in on Sunday, personally called staff members, developed a crisis response plan, and did everything they could to prepare their team for Monday. Of course, there's no amount of preparation that can truly prepare a community for such a loss. But their selflessness and leadership were truly evident and deeply appreciated. I also want to express my sincere appreciation to the staff of Ashland High School, who have shown tremendous care, compassion, and professionalism as they continue to support our students each day. In moments like these, the quiet work of simply being present for young people matters more than words can capture. I also want to thank this community and the surrounding communities for the incredible outpouring of care and support during this difficult time for our students and our family. And finally, thank you to everyone who gathered at the vigil at Ashland High School. In that moment, as we stood together in grief, we were reminded of the Ashland we know and love, a community that shows up for one another and cares deeply. So to our community, thank you. And I want to wish everybody a nice spring break. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Can I ask one question? The baseball team is going to Phoenix, Arizona for spring break. Is that for a tournament? I'm just curious. It's not like they.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You made it sound like they were just, going there for spring break. So they've got something good. Okay. That sounds amazing. Okay. I like it. That's good news. Somebody should be having some fun. All right. Thank you. So next up, we have, probably don't have any public comments. Do we have any, Holly? No? Okay. So that moves us to new business. And so our first item will be action item for the 2026-2027 district calendar. So Michelle Kutterback is here to present the long-awaited district calendar.
Good evening. Let's see. Yes. I thought you were going to do it for me, Holly. How do I do full screen? Is there a trick for full screen, or is that good enough? That's good enough? Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, yes, the moment that many have been waiting for. We've been receiving lots of phone calls in anticipation of this calendar. So here is our draft for the board's consideration. This is draft 7, I think. So we started with a draft that was pretty much just a rollover of what we're doing this year with no major changes. And we received lots of feedback along the way. So we took this calendar to our lead team to get input from all of the administrators for them to review. We took it to our contract maintenance team, which is our licensed union committee that we have on a monthly basis for maintenance, as it says. We have our labor management group, which is our OSEA, the classified union. So we took it to all of those groups. AEA, our licensed union, did a survey on primarily on conferences, which you all have the results of. And our AEA co-presidents created their own draft calendar for our review for input as well. So I want to thank everybody for all of their input. It was really helpful. There are a lot of ways to make the calendar, and then at the same time, not a lot of ways to make the calendar. Once you put the holidays in and you get our standard time frames that we like to choose for school, there's not a lot of options, but we think we landed on a good one. So what I'm bringing forward tonight is the start of school for students would be August 31st. That is still a week before Labor Day because Labor Day is later this year. That is in line with Medford School District. They're the only, when this was drafted, and I think it's still true, that they were the only district who had approved a calendar for next year. So we do look at our regional partners to see if we are in line with them, and we try to stay aligned as much as possible. Then we have a solid month of learning in September with the only day off Labor Day. We have moved conferences. Some of the big feedback was around conferences because that was a big change this year. And I don't know if I'm going to scroll the right way, but I'm going to try. There we go. In an attempt to have a K-12 calendar, we did condense conferences for K-8. So we have 2 days in the fall and 2 days in the spring, and that is a change. We had 3 days previously. We do believe that K-12 calendar aligned is what's most helpful for families to have their kids in school on the same days. We did hear conferences this year were the 2 days before Thanksgiving break, and the feedback we received was that was just too close with the February conferences, that they prefer more time between the two conferencing periods. And we also heard that especially from the middle school who's on a trimester, that having those land right at the in between trimesters was a kind of a tricky time for them. It was the end of a reporting period and then the beginning of a reporting period. So it was just reporting on different pieces than what we're used to. So taking that feedback, we did return conferences to the days right around Halloween, so the end of October. So we have proposed conferences for fall, October 29th and 30th, which does return the 2 days before Thanksgiving to student attendance days. So those would be student school days. We have Veterans Day on a Wednesday. That must stay the 11th of November every single month. And then we have also an in-service day in October. We left that one in, which is similar to what we have, which is also the state in-service day. So that's a day districts don't have to take off, but it's nice to be in alignment when we do have an in-service day there. Moving to December, you can see the winter break, which is pretty typical time frame, returning after the New Year's, so returning January 4th with Martin Luther King Day off, and then one in-service day that falls at the end of right around the end of the semester. So finals week for the high school would all be in 1 week. This year it was started on a Friday, and then they had 3 days. And so it's nice to get it on that 1 week. So that'll be the January 19th through the 22nd. We did take the week of conferences and in-service in February, spread that out. Our initial interest was to have more full weeks of school in the year, and we heard that having that, the feedback we received was having that full week in February was tricky. Lots of our families are able to travel, and they took advantage of that time to travel, so having conferences and then in-service days there. Plus, when people travel in the winter, it's harder to get back because of the weather, and not as big of an issue, I guess, when we had the week in October, when traveling was a lot easier. So thinking about all of those things, we spread it out. We put conferences February 11th and 12th, Thursday, Friday, and then we have an in-service day February 26th. We also put an in-service day after spring break. We've had that before. I think we had it when I was a teacher, and it was nice to return from spring break and have a day to prepare, and that would probably be a split day, half professional development, half planning time for teachers. And then we have a snow day makeup, April 26th. If we have in the event of a snow day that we have to cancel, that will be the first one that returns to student day or staff day, depending on what type of day it is. And then we have typical day in May of Memorial Day, and then the last day of school would be June 11th with a half day. Happy to take feedback or any other questions you have.
I want to say thank you for the level of input and time that went into this. I'm ready to make a motion when the board is. Perfect. Do you mind just scrolling to the top? Thank you. I move to adopt the 2026-2027 Ashland School District calendar as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, thank you, Michelle. I do, again, I want to reiterate, I know how much work went into this, so thank you. Good job by everybody. Okay, next up we have, this is another action item, establishing the number of student transfers for 2026-2027. So April Harrison will be speaking to us about that.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so what we have here is, okay, is that big enough? Okay. These are the proposed transfer slots in and out for the upcoming school year. So what we have is the projected enrollment, and I'm hoping that the kindergarten enrollment would stay pretty steady, and it looks like it will. So we just took the same number of kindergartners, rolled it up, and used that as our number for incoming kinders. So what we want to do is propose 10 transfers in per slot, except for 12th grade. It's really not a good idea for juniors to change schools for their 12th grade year, and so the success rate for graduation potentially goes down. So I do not recommend that we accept seniors in. And remember, these are just students that are coming into us from other districts. So just want to remind everyone of that. And we want to propose 0 transfers out, which is pretty much what we've done this year. We started it last year, actually. And the reason for that is that we want to hold on to our students. This does not include hardship transfers. So I've signed off on many hardship transfers this year. There's also, there's specific guidelines in ODE that state what a hardship transfer is. So we will obviously approve those, but otherwise recommend not. This is what our neighboring district is doing, so we're following suit with what's happening in the rest of the valley. And so what we'll do is, I want to just clarify a little bit. So our transfer slots, they're assigned based on current enrollment in that grade level. So let's say that I've got a second grader, they want to transfer in. But then what we'll do is we'll say, okay, well, we have 10 slots. So we will assign that student to a school based on the number of students. So if Hellman has 40 second graders and Walker has 50 and Bellevue has 30, the student's going to Bellevue. We do try, because sometimes we'll get student transfer requests in siblings, and so that can be a little tricky, so then we have to try to do a balance. But generally, that's how that works. So whichever school has the student would be assigned. The other thing I wanted to say is, we did say 10. I just wanted to kind of let you know we had 21 transfers in this year and 47 the year before. Remember, that's because of the shift, and a lot of our students came from our neighboring district, and our neighboring district has stopped allowing that. So that was a shocking number. I just wanted, there's a reason for that. They've been saying no because they've gone to the hardship model. So I do recommend that we go with 10 per district, 10 per grade level. That'd be 120. Now, we can shift that potentially depending on grade level availability. So, I mean, if we've got 10 slots that maybe weren't used and our enrollment for 4th grade is super, super low, we might want to do a consideration of allowing a little bit more. Questions, Dan?
Is that 2350 total include the 120?
No.
I have a question. Yeah. Scenario question. Like the Almeida fire, did we receive many hardship transfers in from that?
No.
Okay.
Not enough to make it worth our time to try to, like, when we first started, we looked into this and we were thinking, because there was additional financial support and other protections for those families and for the district. And so we didn't see, it was a very minimal amount of students, families out and families in. So it was negligible.
In the event of a scenario where, say, a fire happens where a facility is destroyed and a neighboring district can't house the number of students, would that be considered a hardship transfer in?
Yes.
Or would that be, okay. So these numbers are simply by
Just simply,
desire of the
I
family.
want to come to Ashland and I live in another district.
Okay.
Just run of the mill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does this include students that are already transferred in from open enrollment?
No. Anyone that's in is in. They're safe, they're ours. They're, as soon as they sign up to be, the transfer request stays until they graduate.
So I guess I'm just out of curiosity. I mean, you've told us that our neighboring districts are not allowing transfers out. So where are we expecting those 10 to come from?
There's a few districts that are still allowing them out, so we're getting them from those districts.
So are we getting close to that number, or do we expect to get
no,
close?
we haven't had 10 per grade level, no. So 10's a safe number.
Okay, so realistically, that total is going to be significantly lower, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a very safe.
Are we able to accept transfers from California districts?
No.
Oh, okay.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
They would be tuition pay students.
Okay. But
That's a real option?
There is a path for tuition pay.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready to make a motion. when the board is.
I'll second.
Where's it? I move to approve the proposed interdistrict transfer slots for 26-27 as presented.
So I will second.
All in favor? All right. Thank you. Thank you, April. All right. Wow. I feel like we didn't work hard enough tonight or something. It's just like, I guess we've done enough this week. Yeah. What do you mean we're not done yet? Well, that'll be easy. Okay, this is true. Okay, so announcements and appointments. The school board work session previously listed for March 19th, 2026 will not be held. There is no work session scheduled for March. The next regular session meeting will be held on Thursday, April 9th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. here in City Council chambers. So now, according to ORS 1926602I, the board will recess into executive session to review and evaluate the performance of the chief executive officer or any other public officer, employee, or staff member unless the person whose performance is being reviewed and evaluated requests an open hearing. Do I have a motion to move into executive session? Did I need to read all that?
I move we go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, so we are closed. It says recording. Well, it does say it's recording. Oh, here we go. Okay. Here we are. Hi. Okay, we are returning to open session. No decisions were made during executive session. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.